I'm Erin, and I just hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's a huge milestone, I'm told, because less than 1% of all YouTube channels ever grow this big. But unless you happen to go viral, growing and maintaining a channel this size is work. So, what does it take to get here? I'm exploring that question in my YouTube video podcast series, The Road to 100K. I'll talk to other creators who've just hit 100,000 and those who've kept growing about what it took for them to succeed. Hey everyone, thank you for clicking on this video. I'm Erin and I'm here to share my journey to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube with you. If you're watching this, it's because I have hit that milestone and I've got the hardware to prove it. I'm very reflective. This is my YouTube plaque, my YouTube silver play button for reaching 100,000 subscribers. That just came last week. So I'm really excited about this. Um, I'm here though because I want to share a new video series with you. It's taken me personally a long time to get to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I want to share a bit about what my journey was, but more than it just being about me, I've rounded up a group of other YouTubers who are sort of in the 100,000 to 300,000 or 400,000 range. And I've spoken to them about how they've gotten to 100,000 subscribers themselves. So over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to roll out several videos where you can hear from people who have actually done this work and put in all of what's required to get to those 100,000 subscribers. As far as I can remember, not one of them has like gone viral and had some like big content blow up that's just catapulted them to 100,000 subscribers. Everybody that I've spoken to has had to work for it. And that is the reality of being a real YouTuber, I think, today. So I'm going to share some of my experience over the past almost 10 years with you. And then over the coming weeks, like I said, you'll hear from these other folks. So I do want to take a quick second, though, to say thank you to the viewers, subscribers, my channel members, especially, for really supporting the channel over the years. Without people clicking on the videos and watching them, I wouldn't be here. So I have to say a big thank you to the audience for that. The audience for this might be a little bit different. I'm known for doing tech reviews, gadget reviews, smartphone reviews, robot vacuums, all of that kind of stuff. That's been sort of the bread and butter for my channel. But this series is a little something different. I really wanted to dig in and ask myself how I got here and wanted to put that question to other YouTubers. So it's been pretty neat learning from other YouTubers what's been successful for them, how they've found success, and just having to give some thought to how I got success as well. So I started this channel back in 2013. At the time, it was really just a place for me to put content. I didn't actually think anyone would be really interested in watching. What made me keep going, though, was seeing those views tick up, even though it was kind of a dozen or a couple dozen or a couple hundred views at the time. And hearing from people, hearing comments from people, having people really encourage me to keep going and saying that they found the content valuable, that meant a lot to me in my early days. So if you're following any YouTubers right now who are in the smaller space, just a few thousand or even a few hundred subscribers, it would probably really mean a lot to them for you to post a comment on one of the recent videos and just let them know you're out there and you're enjoying your content. That really does go a long way to encouraging a YouTuber to want to keep going. One of the things I also really appreciated about having a YouTube channel was just being able to see how the hard work that I put in was directly tied to my channel growth. So the more videos I uploaded, the more comments I got, the more I was encouraged to work harder. And that was very much unlike network television, which I worked in at the time about 10 years ago, where you put in 40 hours a week and you literally have no idea if anyone's watching. So I'm really glad to be able to hear from people directly on YouTube and to have that communication with my audience. So that's been one of the really great things about being a YouTuber. The first milestone I set for myself, I mean, I remember hitting 100 subscribers and feeling like that was a big deal. And then thinking to myself, I wonder if I could get to 1,000 subscribers. And when I got to 1,000, I thought, you know what, this could be a thing. Let's go for 10,000. And 10,000 was sort of the first major milestone that I really set for myself and really aimed for. Funnily enough, I bought myself jewelry when I got to 10,000 subscribers, and I'm still wearing it to this day. I haven't taken them off since I got them when I hit my 10,000 subscribers. So along the way, I've noticed a lot of things. I've noticed some patterns. Um, Consistency, uploading on a regular basis. I really only became extremely consistent maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I was working in what I would call the old broadcast TV model, where like when stuff is ready, you just get it on the air. You put it out, you work, you put it out, and then you turn around and do it all again. But once I started trying to be a little more consistent and deliberate with how I produced and rolled out my videos, I began to see a little more growth. So consistency was very important to me when I was first, or not when I was first starting out, but when I was first starting to take growth seriously. I also think it really helps to have a sense of what kind of creator you are and what type of channel you're running. So I'm what's called like an educational creator. I'm, if not teaching people about things or about gadgets, I'm educating them in a sense about what's good about the products, what's not, things that they need to know. So that's been a really handy thing to know for me, is just what type of creator am I? Because that does factor into how you grow and how you might get some of your traffic. A lot of educational creators get their traffic from search. So people will go on YouTube and search, how to do something, or, latest Google Pixel phone review. And often Google will serve that type of content to them. Whereas if you're coming up with a very unique idea, maybe you're creating in the comedy vein or something like that, and you're putting out content that doesn't that people wouldn't necessarily be looking for on their own, that's sort of different than being an educational creator. So understanding what type of content you're creating and how you would be reaching your viewers. Once I sort of understood that I was this educational content creator and a lot of my views were coming from search, that really helped me start to optimize some of the content and understand where people were coming to my channel from, and how I could get them to stay and to stick around. The other thing that really helped me along the way was starting to understand thumbnails. And this is a big topic for YouTubers. I think it was Mr. Beast who said, if he can't come up with a thumbnail while he's coming up with the idea for a YouTube video, he won't make the video at all. The thumbnail is that important. And it is true that you've really only got two opportunities to get someone to click on your video as a new YouTuber. You get the title and you get the thumbnail. And if people aren't interested or don't like one or the other or both of those, they're not going to click on your video and they're not going to watch. So you'll never get them. You'll never get those eyeballs. So once I started really giving that more thought, I did start to see an uptick. Let's take a look here. Do I have this? So I kind of came up with a formula for my thumbnails, and I actually ended up writing it down. This is what my thumbnail formula looks like. I try to be really consistent with it. I probably only started developing the formula about maybe 8 or 9 years ago. I guess that's not really only, that's a long time ago. But I started paying attention to what people were clicking on the most when I would upload a thumbnail, and a pattern developed for me. So for me, it was just a simple, bold thumbnail, not a ton of elements, trying to get a really well lit shot of myself. I'm skipping ahead to number 4 there. I really believe that showing yourself as part of it helps create a brand for your channel. And I found that the thumbnails I uploaded with my picture in them did tend to get more views than some of the other thumbnails I would have used where I was just maybe using a product shot or a screen grab. I used screen grabs for a long time too before I knew any better. Um, and don't let anybody tell you different. A screenshot from a video just at random is not going to help you get more views on a video, and I can attest to that. For me, the product reviews that I do, I absolutely need to show the product in my thumbnails. It's kind of proof of concept, proof of the fact that I've been hands-on with something. And then this goes against what a lot of experts will tell you. For me, it has been skipping the words. I almost never include words in my thumbnail. I know a lot of people would recommend you do the opposite. You include big, bold text. And in fact, I think the thumbnails for this web series are going to be a little bold with some text. So I'm trying something different. But for me, for my review videos, that's the formula that works, is just keeping it super simple like that and really featuring just me and the product. So that's been really, really helpful. Um, I got a lot of advice, not advice so much, but I guess I got a lot of my experience from my background. I worked in journalism and media as a television producer. I don't think any YouTuber out there who might be wanting to start out needs to have a background in television production or media production or any of that. But it did form a really helpful backbone, and it created a real skill set for me. I started out as a reporter. I moved to working as an anchor. That is a purple suit. Yep, that's me. And I did end up doing some anchoring work here and there. And then I ended up moving behind the scenes as a television producer and did all kinds of jobs in TV. The skills that I learned there really helped me hone what I was doing. But I mean, at the time when I started my YouTube channel, I didn't know how to edit videos. I had to teach myself that. In the television news world, there were people just dedicated to editing videos. So I had never laid hands on editing software before about 9 or 10 years ago. I had to teach myself. It's much easier today, of course. I think every social media platform has an in video or in app editor. So it's a lot easier, but good editing is an art, definitely an art. So that's me in the past. One of the other things that I've done, I think, to be successful and to try and really, work hard at getting that first 100,000 subscribers is I've tried to come up with a formula for reviews. And I wouldn't even say this is something that I sat down, 6 or 8 or 9 years ago and said, okay, this is what it's going to be. I just started producing videos the same way I would have done it in my work life and my television news life. So I know people have said and commented on the channel that I sound like a news anchor from time to time. I take that as a compliment because I used to be one. And those lessons have stuck with me. So I was essentially just doing kind of mini TV news stories for my YouTube channel about products. It was a natural crossover, and I think it worked really well for me. But over the years, I've had to sit down and think, like, what is it about the videos that I'm making, and what am I doing in each one of those videos that seems to be working? So I came up with a formula, which I'll share with you. So I always try to introduce a problem at the beginning of any YouTube video that I do. So what's the problem we're trying to solve? If it's something, a gadget I'm reviewing, what problem does that gadget solve in particular? And then hint at the fix so that you have to give people an idea of what's going to help solve that problem. You can't make them wait 6 or 8 or 10 or 15 minutes before you answer that question. So hint at what the fix is going to be. The other thing that helps, if you can do it in the beginning, especially if you're a new YouTuber that doesn't have a ton of views and a big audience, is establish the credibility that you do have. So whatever your niche is within YouTube that you've chosen to create in, what's your expertise? What's the unique perspective that you bring? What is your credibility? For me, it's that I've reviewed 1,000+ gadgets. I've got that background as a journalist, so I really try to provide balance and credibility. But what is it for you? What's your credibility? and then get to the product really quickly, as quick as you can. I would say within the first, I mean, you should see the product probably within the first 1 to 3 seconds, but you definitely want to get into the product right away. I think it's so important to show close-ups of the product in a review video in particular. So I always try and get in there, get hands-on, show people all sides of a product so they can really get to know it. I also try and cover the key features. So if there's something on a product, like on a box, I'm just going to pick up something that's here on my desk. This is probably going to be a bad example. A pair of headphones. Like I'll look at what's on the box, like what are the features, and of course there's no features on here. Noise canceling, I guess, and that these are the second generation. So I'll try and look at what the brand is presenting as a really good feature of this, and then I test that out. So I'll cover off what those key features are and what I thought, my opinion. Did it work? Did I have a good time with it? Did I like the way it worked? Was it easy? So cover those key features. I try and tease as well at some point early on in the video that I'm going to be testing these features out. So how am I going to test them? What am I going to do? If it's a robot vacuum review, for example, I might say, I'm going to be testing this by vacuuming my carpets, or, trying to get it to pick up dog hair, or asking it to mop the floor. So, and then I have to show that test. So you tease what you're going to test, and then you absolutely have to bring the goods. So you've got to show people what you learned. I don't think it's just enough to say, yeah, I ran this around my house for a week and it's really great. You've got to show people either how good it is or what went wrong with it to establish that credibility that we were talking about. I always like to wrap a review, any product review, with both the pros and the cons. Over the years, that's something people have told me they really appreciate, is having that balance and pointing out not just the things that I liked about it, but the things that I didn't like about it. And transparently, I've also had brands come back to me after seeing one of my reviews and say, you know what, you've given us real food for thought for a Gen 2 version or a Gen 3 version. So in some cases, the brands or the people involved are listening and watching this stuff. So I like to provide that balance. And then it's really important to me that at the end of a video, I like to either say whether I can recommend it or whether I can't. And if I can't, why. It should be obvious. But I don't go out and tell people to buy something, like, rush out and add this to your cart. I more just try to give people a recommendation that if you are the type of person that is looking for X, Y, and Z, you'll like this. So just whether or not I would recommend it, and almost like I'm recommending it to a friend. So that's the format for all of my review videos, and that's kind of what I've come up with over the years. Feel free to steal this if this is going to be helpful for you. What's that saying? Steal like a creator, steal like an artist, I think it is. So yeah, that's my video format. In terms of my day-to-day life as a YouTuber and content creator, YouTube's been my full-time job for almost 4 years now. I had a day job for many, many years. I mentioned the TV thing. I also worked in communications for a couple of years. But for the last 3 or 4 years, YouTube has been my primary job. In any given week, I spend a portion of every day testing different products. I've got a ton of products here on my desk. I've got what is this? Fujifilm Instax mini printer is here for testing. I've got headphones. I've got a fan product that I'm testing out. So I spend time each day getting hands-on with these products. And some products I'll spend a week or two or more if that's what they need. I'm trying to think of what else I do in a day as a YouTuber. I do get probably dozens of requests every week to review products. The bigger your channel grows, the more you're going to get a lot of emails from people asking you to review their products. So I do read every single one, evaluate whether that's something that could be a fit with the channel, or if there's another opportunity for me to collaborate with a brand, or if it's just something that I think is really cool and my audience would really like. So I respond to a lot of those pitches. What else? I take a lot of notes when I'm reviewing things. So when I am testing things, I'll be keeping notes about what, what's working, what's not, frustrations I'm having, things I really like. Um, in terms of then like crafting my reviews, I do write out all of my reviews. So I take all those notes that I compile over the time that I'm testing them, and then I do come up with sort of a full script, and it really just helps me organize my thoughts. There are plenty of people out there who could probably just pick up a product, sit down in front of a camera and riff on it for 5 or 10 minutes. I prefer to have a little more structure to my videos and a little more planning to them, and just to make sure that I'm covering all of the bases and all of the features that might be of interest, and that the review is fairly organized. I don't want to waste people's time, so I try to keep it fairly structured like that. And yeah, I put together, I have a shoot day on Wednesdays. So every Wednesday is a taping day for me. I tend to batch record all of my videos on Wednesdays. And then I spend Thursday and often Friday gathering all the files and the B-roll together, doing my voiceovers for each video, and then sharing them with my editor or editors. I do have editing support now. For probably 6 or 7 years, I edited every single video myself. And at that rate, I could really only do like 2 videos a week by the time I got them taped and then spent hours editing them. That was all the time I had. So when I realized I wanted to do more and I wanted to start to grow the channel and I wanted to put more content out there and review more cool and fun stuff, if I'm being honest, I needed help. So I work with a couple of freelance editors who have come to really know and understand the channel and what I'm looking for in particular as a creator. So I have a bit of an editing format as well, that they work within, and some things that we always do in those reviews. So they're familiar with the content by now. So I really appreciate the fact that in a lot of cases I can give them a script and the direction and the voiceovers and all the B-roll. But in some cases I can let them be a little autonomous, and not have to follow really rigid instructions. So that's been really cool for me. And I hope it's fun for my editors too. They're still here, so that's pretty good news. In terms of advice for other creators, man, I've always taken this seriously and treated it not kind of, treated it as a job. Um, I've been a freelance writer and a freelance content creator for a long time, and I always treated it seriously. Never missed a deadline. Always try to be really clear in my communication, and you know, don't flake out on people. I think that all comes from my work as a professional journalist, where you've got to meet those deadlines and you have to return those phone calls or you might miss a story. So I think just treating everything really seriously and taking it seriously like a job is one of the things that I think differentiates a casual creator from someone who really wants to make a mark and grow and maybe turn this into their full-time job, because it is absolutely possible these days. If you had asked me 10 or 20 years ago if I was going to be a professional YouTuber, for starters I would have said what even is that? Um but even like 6 or 8 years ago I would have said, it's not really a career, but it's a fun little side hustle. I'll tell you an interesting story. So when I realized this could actually be a full-time job and not just something on the side, there is a guy called Super Saf on YouTube, and I
Okay,
used to watch his videos. He was also is also in the tech space, but he would do product review videos and just really, really cool, fun videos. And I really liked his style. And there was one day about 10 or so years ago when he put a video up on his channel about how he was quitting his job and he was becoming a full-time YouTuber. And I was like, I couldn't click on that video fast enough. So the gist of the video was that he was starting to see, real traction and momentum on his YouTube channel and decided he was going to leave his day job and become a YouTuber. And gosh, I'm not sure how many subscribers Super Staff has today. I'll pop it up on screen here. But he's done really well. And he was the first YouTube creator that I really paid attention to and thought, well, if he can do it, I think I can do it. So for me, that's part of why I'm sharing this Road to 100K series is I think there's a lot of advice and a lot of takeaways from everybody's individual experience that you can use or, pull certain threads from and use that in your own life and figure out, if you want to be a successful YouTuber, what pieces of advice are really going to work for you. I love being my own boss now. I also didn't think I would really like being my own boss, but I really do. It's a lot of fun. I try to give myself a lot of flexibility in a week. Whenever possible, I try to take Friday afternoons off. I'll do things like bake bread, visit with friends, take an extra long dog walk. That's all fun stuff that being my own boss lets me do. Man, yeah, it's become a real privilege for me to have this opportunity. But at the same time, it's been a lot of hard work. And I do want people to understand that about YouTube, that, you know, you can you can have goals for yourself and you can hope to go viral. But if you don't have a long-term plan and a solid work ethic, I don't know that you can be successful long term on YouTube. So that's a little bit about me. Let's see what else I wanted to chat about here. Oh gosh, brand deals. Let me talk to you about brand deals. So I think people have the impression that YouTubers earn scads and scads of money from YouTube. Not quite true. Not scads and scads of money. We do earn money from YouTube ads. It's called YouTube AdSense. I think you maybe need a certain number of watch hours now and 1,000 or so subscribers. It might have changed since I last looked it up. But almost anyone can opt into the AdSense program. If you are opted in and you're a few thousand subscribers in, you can probably attest in the comments that you're earning somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 cents to $3 to $5 a month. It's not a lot of money, especially in the beginning. So don't do it for the money because it's going to take you a while to start earning enough for it to be meaningful money that you can live off of. If you have a dream of having a YouTube channel that you can one day live off of, I would say start it right now. Don't wait and do the thing then because it's probably going to take you several years. I would say at minimum 2 to 5 years to see real meaningful growth, unless you happen to be extremely talented and be doing everything right and hit a couple of viral good luck stories. Otherwise, it's going to take some time, definitely. So back to brand deals. That's one of the other ways a lot of YouTubers will earn money, earn a living. I try to only work with brands whose products I really like or admire, or well, always a product I have personally used. I'm trying to think if there's ever been a case where I've talked about a product that I've never been hands-on with. I don't think it's ever happened. I wouldn't want to do that. I like to be hands-on with the product. I like to make sure before I'm going to share information from a brand or to share new products from a brand that they have a consistent history at least of good products, or that it's been something that I have in my hands in my home that I can say, yes, this is a really good quality product from my experience. So brand deals can be fun. Yeah, if you're seeing a sponsored post on my channel, it is because I do believe in that product. So I don't do I get a lot of offers for, can you just please endorse our product or our gadget or our device? And no, I won't do that. It has to be something I believe in. So if you're a viewer of the channel and you're seeing a sponsored post, it's because it's something I genuinely think you guys would also like as well. I've had the really cool opportunity to travel a lot and more so in recent years with my job as a professional YouTuber. That's been pretty cool. I've been to the US numerous times, New York City, San Francisco, California, well, that's San Francisco is California. Um, Europe as well. I've been to Berlin in the last few months. That was very cool. I got to go to the IFA tech show in Berlin. And next year I'm weighing opportunities to visit China and Dubai. So it's kind of amazing what comes along once you start to grow a channel, and especially once that channel has hit 100,000 subscribers. I would say that in the last year, as I've made that last home stretch from sort of 90,000 to I think I'm at about 106 or 107,000 right now, the opportunities have been coming fast and furious. I don't think I've ever been busier, which is fantastic, and I've really been enjoying that. So, um, just an example of continue to work hard, show that consistency, do well by your audience, and opportunities will present themselves that you probably never even thought of. What other strategies might I have for growing a YouTube channel for anyone who's making their own march to 100,000 subscribers? I try to reply to almost every comment on the channel. That is getting harder in recent years as the comments have grown and there's more people commenting, there's a lot more views. That is becoming much harder. But I try to at least comment or hit the like button or the smiley button, some kind of emoji reaction, just to let you guys know that I am out there. But I do eventually get to reading through all of the comments, so I do see what everybody is saying. I need a break for a second. A lot of me talking here. Okay, so replying to comments, interacting with the viewers in that way, asking for feedback. I try to put it out there whenever I can. If somebody has experience with a product or if there's a product they want me to review, I'm always open to that kind of feedback and hearing what people want to hear or know or learn about. So I love getting feedback. I also used to hear that doing collaborations was a really great way to grow. And that's probably still good advice. I never was really able to find a way to do a good collaboration that I think would be meaningful for both me and the person I'm collaborating with. I think to do a really solid collab, you both have to kind of be in the same subscriber size space. Does that make sense? So somebody who's, 80 to 120, would be a good match for me. I would have loved to collaborate with Super Saf back when I had 10,000 subscribers, but that wouldn't really be fair to Super Saf now, would it? So trying to find a good match has been a struggle. But if anyone watching this has an idea for someone who would be a good collab, I'd love to hear the ideas. That's me soliciting feedback again. But I would love to hear from you guys if there's a good collaboration that you might come up with. I also would say that I've tried to create a little bit of a community with the channel. I don't tolerate mean or negative comments in the comments. I think you can definitely disagree. You can definitely speak your mind, but if you're just being mean or rude, I don't think those comments need to show up for other people. So we have it set up that they just don't get approved. They don't get put out there. And I think that's fair. I would much rather have a collaborative, conversational space where people can feel free to ask questions without feeling dumb and get answers from not just me, but from other people in that community, other people with some experience to share. So I really think kindness is important. And I try to amplify comments that are helpful, respectful, and kind, I would say. I think that's really important. So I guess that's me. That's my journey to 100K in a nutshell. If you have questions about my journey, or if there's somebody you would like to recommend that I might talk to as part of this series once it gets rolling, I would love to hear from you in the comments. We're going to have some really great creators coming up, people who are in that 100,000 to 500,000 creator space. We will hear exactly how they got there, what their advice is to other people who are just coming up this road as well. I've spoken with a few of them already. Asia Coffee has a cooking and baking channel, and she is also a very recent arrival at 100,000 subscribers, and a lovely person as well. You guys are going to love to get to know her. Collie Wobbles, who is a gamer creator. Fascinating conversation with him because, especially, I'm not in the gaming space at all. So understanding the different type of content he's doing and the different audience he has was really interesting to me. So if you're looking to do more live streaming and stuff or in the gaming space, you definitely want to watch for Collie Wobble's interview here on the YouTube channel. I also spoke to Katarina or Kat Mogus, who is another female tech creator. She has a really interesting story that you might want to tune back in for. She has 150,000 YouTube subscribers, but on her TikTok, she has, I think it's like 2 point some million. So she has this massive audience on TikTok, but she's only just starting to grow and just succeeding at growing on YouTube. So we'll talk a bit about that balance of having great success on one platform and how you can try to translate it to success on another platform like YouTube. Stephen Robles, who's a tech journalist who does a lot of Apple how-to videos and has found really great success just teaching people how to do simple things with their phones and tablets, their Apple phones and tablets in particular. Very interesting story from him. And a guy named Gord South, who is also known as the Wood Bully. He's going to talk to us. The conversation I had with Gord was really cool because Gord is very brash and he is not afraid to say what he thinks. And he has had an extremely interesting experience. He spent a lot more money than I bet you thought a YouTuber could spend. And the type of production he's doing is like television level production. And I think, I mean, for a while it was just him. He's got a very small team, but he is working it really hard with a very small team. If you watch any of his videos, you will not believe the production he puts into his videos. And he's got a very interesting journey to his first 100,000 subscribers as well. So if you're interested in growing your own YouTube channel, I hope you'll find these videos helpful over the coming weeks. And I just want to say thanks again for watching this video. And don't forget to tune in for the rest of the series, Road to 100K.